I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Robert Hutchings. I'll be chairing the hearing today. I'm joined on the panel by Ian Mon and Valerie Ware-Hun. Jennifer Martins will be representing the Assessment and Taxation Department, City of Winnipeg, and our secretary today is Stephen Lunn. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we would limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and makes its decisions. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing item number 1 on our docket today. Mr. Lum, please affirm the assessor's and the applicant's testimony.
Madam Assessor, please state your full name.
Jennifer Suzanne Martins.
You affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do so affirm.
Thank you. Mr. Rack, please state your full name.
Lyle Rack.
You affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lund. Good afternoon, Mr. Rack and Ms. Martins. We're going to be dealing with item number 1, file number 22-3743, 3096 Portage Avenue. And we're dealing with a 2023 Realty Assessment Appeal. And just to confirm, there are no preliminary issues on this item?
No.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Martins, when you are ready, 3096 Portage Avenue, please.
Thank you. This is roll number 07565 for 0000 for the roll year 2023 with the reference date of April 1st, 2021. We have an assessed value of $851,000. This is its parcel use is a neighborhood shopping center. It is one building with 4 premises. It was built in 1975 with a wall height of 12 feet. The land area is 7,617 square feet, and the plan area is 4,788 square feet. If you go to the last page of my brief, page 11, we have a map just showing the section of Portage Avenue where this is. It is between Greenacre Boulevard and Country Club Boulevard on the corner there on Portage Avenue. It's the one with the red dot on it. And the bottom picture is just a Google Street View of the property. So if we head back to page 3, please. We have some comparable rents there. These are properties that are also in neighborhood shopping centers with a similar use. The ages of these are similar, except for the one in on Taché, which is significantly older. They range in rent per square foot from $10 to $16 per square foot. On page 4, we have our income workup. It shows the 4 premises ranging in size from 572 square feet to 1,672 square feet. These are all considered a standard finish. And the rent per square foot ranges from $11.36 to $15.02 per square foot. This gives us a potential rent of $68,972. We have applied a 6% vacancy and 3% for expenses, with a shortfall of $7 per square foot, giving us a net operating income of $60,872. We've applied a cap rate of 7.15, giving us $851,357, which we have rounded to $851,000. Give me one moment. If we look over on page 8, please. We see the mailer, and we see that the total income is $78,161, which is relatively close to what we have on our income. Page 9 shows the tenants and gives some information about their rents. And page 10 is the information that we've sent out asking about questions about COVID. And it does note that there has been a significant impact on the property due to COVID. That is everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Martins. Mr. Rack, any questions on the assessor's evidence presented?
Yes, I do. Could you turn to page 8? And on page 8 of the income expense mailer, would you agree that basically the owner has checked off the box net and gross,
Yes.
the rents?
Yes.
And then just a couple things here. Would you agree that the closer the comparables are to the subject property, the better comparables they are?
Actually, no, I would not agree with that. I would agree that proximity does have some impact, but just because I could have a McDonald's next door to a fancy restaurant, and that doesn't mean it's the best restaurant comparable just because it's next door. Similar areas that have similar influences would impact.
Sorry to interrupt you, but that's fine. If you don't, if you disagree with that statement, that's fine. You don't have to say any more. That's good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, you have your opinion. So could we go down to your comparables on page 3? So let's start with the first one, 1375 Portage. Is that a single unit or a multiple unit property?
I'm not sure.
Okay. How about Ness? Is Ness a single unit or a multiple unit property?
Not sure.
With Ness, do you know if there's customer parking out front?
I'm not sure.
Okay. In St. Anne's, do you know whether or not that's a single unit or a multiple unit?
Not sure.
Okay, and the last one, Portage Avenue, do you know if that's a single unit or a multiple unit?
Not sure. Well, I'm guessing that one, because it says it's 18538. I'm guessing that's multiple, but I'm not sure.
Okay, that's all my comparables, Mr. Chairman. Or all my questions, sorry.
Okay, that's all your questions, Mr. Rack? Mr. Rack, that's all your questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Valerie, do we have any questions on the evidence presented by the assessor?
Not at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Ian, any questions of the assessor's evidence?
Just a couple with respect to the property itself. This has three, I'm looking at the pictures here, and the alteration store, I think, says it's in the rear of it. There are 6 parking spots for this premises. Is that correct, Madam Assessor?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And on any of the other comparables, are you aware of any parking spaces or anything in addition to what is listed?
No, all I'm aware of is what is listed.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Ian. Jennifer, maybe I'll follow up with Ian on that question. So I'm looking on page 11 of the photos. So we have Portage Avenue on the front. No, first of all, we'll deal with the subject property. So I believe it looks like there's approximately 6 parking spots behind. Would that be accurate, I think?
It looks that way, yes.
Yeah, but then there would be, would it be fair to say there's restricted parking in front during rush hour, possibly 1 in the morning, I guess, but there is some parking along Portage Avenue. Is that allowed there? Do you know?
I'm not sure what the parking regulations are on the various parts of Portage Avenue, if it's all the same, if it's not, sorry, that's beyond the research I normally do.
Yeah, okay. And then the side street would have Greenacre Boulevard would have, I guess, parking, I guess.
It looks like our cars parked there, so.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
All right. And then Mr. Rack, follow up on Mr. Rack question on page 9, the income and expense mailer. Did you analyze this at all to come up with some kind of idea on the net rents paid?
No, I did not.
Okay. You did make a statement that the NOI declared on I guess this would be page 8, was similar to the NOI utilized by you. Would that be fair?
Yes, the owner did check off gross and net. So it's hard for me to determine what that means. They do have some boxes ticked off over here. So it's, from what I can see, what they've claimed as income is similar to what we have as income in our income workup. Okay,
thank you. And then on page, bear with me here. So the income stream workup is done on individual units. I'm sorry, on page
4.
Page 4, yes. So there's 4 separate units, and then your comparisons would be used for individual units. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That is all my questions. Thank you very much. Mr. Rack, bear with us while we pull up your brief, please. Okay, Mr. Rack, when you're ready, 3096 Portage Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a comment on the income and expense mailer. It is checked off as gross and net. That's 78,161 is a gross with the recoverables. So if you go to my brief, I'll go through that. You'll see page 1 is basically the front view, and the picture at the bottom at the very back there on your right is the door to Vicky's, which is they do sewing in there. So that's the 4th unit. So the assessor's gone over the screen captures from the assessment department for the valuation on page 2. Page 3, the recoveries are actually in the rent. So that 78,000 total income, 161.76 is actually rent plus recoverables. So you'd have to subtract all the expenses to get down to the net operating income, which the net operating income on this property is 45,631, bottom right. So I'll go through the numbers to show you how that's derived. So if you go to the next page, page 4, you will see on the bottom there that those 4 units are paying rent. And then there was a budget for $5 per square foot for recoverable expenses. So if you go to page 5, you'll see the net, there's from 2016 to 2021, you'll see the net operating income for that property, net. Excuse me, so there's an average of 39,952 over all those years, with the best year being 2019. So there's semi-gross rent. So right below there, there's a table. You'll see the areas, the rent they're paying semi-gross, and what that semi-gross is per square foot. On the right, 12, 14, 10, and 13. And Vicky's, by the income and expense mailer, stated that common area recoveries, so that estimated $5 is actually included in the rent. So we're getting a semi-gross rent of $59,028. So you take the $59,028, subtract that from page 2, where it says total income of $78,161. And then we can figure out what the recoverables are. So the recoverables actually work out to $4.53 a square foot. So you budgeted for 5. The actual is $4.53. So over 4,230 square feet, removing Vicky's, we're getting a total gross income of $59,028. Subtract the recoverables, which is $19,162. So we're getting $78,190. That's the gross rent, less the recoverables, or including the recoverables, sorry, adding in the recoverables. So $59,028 is the rent based on the semi-gross rents that I have above. Then you add in the recoverables at $19,162. So you're getting $78,190, which is what the owner has on his total income of $78,161. So I calculated out to be $78,190. So now we got to take the expenses out. So he had, the expenses are on page 6. So he had $8,000 for management, which is too high. So I cut it down to 5% of the gross, which is $2,651, adding insurance, professional fees, with repairs and maintenance, which isn't much, and the property taxes, getting total expenses of $27,180. We're getting a potential gross income of $51,010, which works out to $10.62 a square foot. So using the city's parameters on the total area, 48,002 square feet at $10.62 a square foot, and running through the parameters, I come up with a value of $622,000. Now the big question is $10.62 a square foot for this property indicative of market? So below I have some rents. I have 8 properties shown on Portage Avenue and 2 on Robin Boulevard that are farther away from the property, but crossing the river, they're kind of equal in distance. But if you go to the properties on actual Portage Avenue, let's say I've got 8 properties on Portage Avenue. So they're ranging from 12,000 square feet down to around 3,000 square feet. And you can see the rents there from $675, $10.60, $10, $9.95. They're all in that range. And the last 2 are assessor comparables from appeals of this go around, 2023. The Portage Avenue, the actuals are 2 properties that I actually represent. So we're getting a basic average of $9.12. So at that, the value that I'm coming up with at 1062 is, I believe, is indicative of market. And the owner is actually getting market rent at $10.62 a square foot. And I'm asking that the board reduce the value to $622,000. That's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rack. Ms. Martins, any questions of the applicant?
Not at this time, no.
Thank you. Ian, any questions of the applicant?
Just with respect to the comparables that you have here, Mr. Rackley, looking at page 7 on your brief, 2626 Portage Avenue and 957 Portage Avenue, are those multi-unit tenancies?
No, they're not.
They're not. Okay. 1375 Portage or 3050 L Portage. Do you know if those are multi-units?
I don't recall. Sorry.
Okay.
The number 10, the 10 one, which is 350 L Portage, I believe that is a multi-unit.
And the asking rents for 2021, where did you get that information from?
Those are from the Johnson report.
Okay. Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you. Excuse me. Valerie, any questions of the applicant?
None, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rack, I'm just kind of going back and forth here. Sorry, let me pull up your brief here. I'm looking just where Ian was just looking on page 7. Your comparables, your rent comparables. And you say assessor's comparables on the bottom of that chart. Is that the assessor presented that today or?
No, those are presented in other appeals.
Okay.
We had a couple other buildings similar on Portage Avenue, and they came from, I believe those came from when I had an appeal of 957 Portage, which is just yesterday.
Okay. And then on page 5, I'll start with the top chart NOI. Where did those numbers come from?
Those all come from the income and expense mailers that the owner had submitted.
Okay.
So basically they're coming out to, I mean, he's got a net operating income of, the best one was 46,000. And today I'm using 51,000. So the rents have gone up over the years.
Okay.
And obviously they're going to be slightly different just depending on what the expenses are each year. Like the expenses in 2020 were only $4,836, which is not much. It's not like anything was exorbitant on that.
Okay. And then I'm going through to page 6 and looking at your workup.
Okay.
So you're accepting the assessor's 6% vacancy?
Correct.
And expenses, you're using 3%?
Yes.
Okay. And the shortfall is $7. And you're accepting the assessor's capitalization rate?
That's the only thing in dispute is the rent.
Yeah, okay. Okay. And my last question would be page 7. You've got 6 asking rents. I believe you answered Ian's question. That came from the Johnson report. So these aren't actual rents?
So those are asking rents from the Johnson report, 2020 to 2021. So
Okay.
what they might sign for less, but that's what they're asking.
Yeah, okay. Okay. All right. I believe that's all my questions. Ms. Martins, any requirement for a summary?
None. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Rack?
Do have a rebuttal?
Okay. You know, actually, Mr. Rack, I'm sorry. I missed the question. My question is your photo on the front shows a now retired MP, I believe. And I think Miss Martin's photo shows the present MP. So was there a lease agreement signed in the last couple of years on that space? Would you know?
Well, the lease that's I've shown, which is the 2020, as you see, dated, is basically accurate. That picture is probably, I just captured probably the wrong year on
Okay.
Google.
Okay.
But the income expense mailer is, if you look at it, it is from the dates on there. It is from 2020.
Yeah, okay, it's Mr. Morantz. Okay, perfect. Okay. I forgot to ask you that. Sorry. Okay. So Mr. Rack, I'm sorry. So you have rebuttal, and I'm wondering if we have that. Bear with me 1 second while we try and find that document, please.
Mr. Rock, I have 2 documents of rebuttal. Which one is it that you're looking to introduce?
Both of them.
Both of them? Okay. To my panel members, I just have to add that to your folder, and I will be sending an email to you very shortly.
Okay.
Okay. It should be there. Your folder now.
Applicant called rebuttal applicant 1 or applicant 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess we could look at the first one that has
Mr. Rack, we don't have Mr. Rack. We don't have them yet. We'll let you know when we're ready to proceed.
Okay.
Okay. If my panel members zooming in, we'll just refresh their share points very quickly. It should be there.
I too have 2 rebuttals.
Yep.
Ian, Valerie, do you have them?
Yeah, I do.
Thanks. And I'm assessor. I've just sent you.
Valerie, do you have them?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay, and Jennifer, do you have them yet?
No, I don't.
I've just sent the email, so it might take a second.
Okay. Let's wait for the assessor to have the information so she can follow along or respond, I guess, if needed.
Okay, I have it. Thank you.
You have both of them?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Rack, which one are we going to open first?
Open the one. One is only 1 page, and one has multiple pages. Starting off with the assessor's comparable screenshot of her comparables.
Okay, shall we go with that one first?
Please.
Okay, so let's see here. This is the one with the document CPIX on the second page.
Oh, we can do that one first if you want.
Okay, if that's okay.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. Does everybody have that one open?
Yes, I do.
Valerie, you okay? Jennifer, do you have it?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rack, when you're ready.
So this is this is basically, as you see, it's October 25th, 2022. And that particular property, which you'll see a picture of in my rebuttal, actually has 8 units in it, 8. And you'll see that they're asking 1853 to 1861 portage. They're asking $14 a square foot net, and that is to date. So the assessors only supplied one comparable at $16, but we see that basically today they're asking $14. So if you went back to a full year of 2020, since the valuation date is April 1st, 2021, in 2020, if someone had signed a 5-year lease prior to that, it would not be unreasonable that they might have signed a lease for $12, $13 or maybe less. So that shows that even today, the rates would have gone up.
Excuse me, Mr. Rack, Ms. Martins.
Is this not post-reference?
Mr. Rack, comment?
It is post-reference. I'm using it to show that basically in 2022, if they're asking $14 in 2022.
Okay, but
Go back
Is
to
the reference date?
Mr. Rack, we're not going to put any weight in a post-reference reference. I know you're trying to establish a benchmark and working it backwards, but the panel will decide how much weight we'll put in. Okay, thank you.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
And now we'll go to the first document. And bear with us 1 second while we pull that one up. The first page of rebuttal for 3096 is showing the assessor's rents plus photos of those comparisons. Would that be accurate?
That's correct.
Okay, so let's make sure everybody's got that page up. Ian, have you got it?
Yep, I've got it. Thanks.
Valerie?
Yes, thank you.
Jennifer?
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rock, please.
Thank you. So you'll see 1375 portage. The first one is at $10, which is below what I'm asking for the subject. So that shows that basically the subject is at market. So if you go to comparable one, you'll see a picture of it. And
Okay.
you'll see that Brent Berry and our lower, so that's the American Nails single unit, which is okay to compare that to a multiple unit. It's what the rent is, what you get for rent. If you go to comparable 2, scroll down, 1855 Ness, you will see that it's a 4-unit building, but the assessor only showed rents of 1. And you'll see, I estimate there's probably 15, 16 parking spaces in the front, so that would demand a higher rent. Go to comparable 3, it is comparable, but it's on St. Vital. The idea of comparables is basically a good comparable has to be similar to the property in question, which it is. The other thing is it has to be close to the subject so that the same market conditions pertain to the subject property if you have comparables that are close to the subject. So this is in St. Vital. And in St. Vital, it's possible that you're going to be paying higher rents in St. Vital because there's limited, most of the property out there is residential, zone residential. So there'd be, for the demand, if the demand was same, there's not, the supply would be lower. And actually I've had appeals on St. Vital, and there are rents in the $10 to $11 range all over in St. Vital. And the assessor didn't supply the other units to show what the rents the other units are getting. If you keep going down, you'll see Taché. It's the same thing applies to Taché. There's 3 units, and the assessor picked a smaller unit. It looks like the unit on the left is larger. So she didn't supply rents for those to see what they would be. And again, on Taché, there's less commercial units available. St. Boniface will be more popular place to rent, and it's smaller, so you'd probably pay a higher rent. The last comparable 5 at 1353 Portage, there are actually 8 units there, but the assessor only supplied a comparable of 1. So it'd be interesting to know what all the other comparables would go for. So basically in summation, I'll do my summation now. is the assessors applied 5 comparables, 3 are not on Portage Avenue. But there's 1 on Portage Avenue, 2 on Portage Avenue, one's at 16, and another one's at 10, and that basically supports my valuation of the actual on the property. So I've supplied actually 8 on Portage, and an additional 1 from the assessor makes 9 properties on Portage that I think basically prove that the subject properties rents are at market. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rack. Ms. Martins, any questions on the applicant's rebuttal?
Please. A lot of weight is being placed on simply on location alone. May I ask, please, are the effective year built of the comparables similar to the subject property?
I think that's immaterial. The rents prove what the property actually can generate in rent, and they're all in similar condition. I looked at them all; they're all in similar condition, condition as the ones that you provided.
So the examples of rental comparables that I've provided are similar in age, similar in wall height, and they're similar to the various premises that we have in the subject property, correct?
I assume so.
Okay, now let's look at these properties in your comparables. So comparable 1 is on Portage Avenue, so you don't have a problem with that one, although you included the assessed. So let's go to the one on Ness. Would you consider Ness to be a street that has a high traffic volume similar, which would impact the traffic flowing past, which would be an indicator of getting customers?
Are you asking me the volume of traffic?
Not the exact volume of traffic, but is it a busy street which would have a significant amount of traffic driving past it on a daily basis?
Well, I'm showing your comparables. Those
Yeah,
are the ones you picked.
I'm looking at your.
So, I mean, I can't answer to your thoughts on those comparables.
Well,
I don't know if the traffic volume on Ness is compared to Portage. I would think Portage has more traffic on it.
It would have more traffic on it, so perhaps this would be a less desirable property because it doesn't have as much traffic, where you're saying it's more desirable property because it has more parking. So perhaps instead of discrediting my comparables, we can just look at whether it's better or worse, or the reasons why, and it's still considered a comparable because the building is still very similar wall height, very similar year of construction, very similar size. Is it fair to say that there are properties within this rental that I've shown as a comparable that would actually be comparable to the subject property?
I don't know if that's your comparables. I think what you're saying is you should probably make these statements in your summation. Like, I mean, I've said they're comparable. Okay. I've said that they're comparable to the subject property. It's just that they're in a farther location, and the one on Ness actually has parking out front. So I mean, you could park 15 cars out there, which it would demand a higher rent. You don't have to deal with rush hour, and you can pull right up to the front. You don't have to park down the street. Any building that has upfront parking, you're going to pay more rent for that because it's more convenient for your customer.
Thank you. I'm done.
Any other questions, Ms. Martins?
I don't see the point. Thank you.
Thank you. Valerie, any questions of the applicant's rebuttal?
None, thank you.
Thank you. Ian, any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rack, I'm just looking at your comp number 1. or pardon me, the assessor's comp number one, your rebuttal number one. Sorry. Uh, 1375 Portage Avenue. Where's that located? Is that Arlington, around there?
Oh, geez, that's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, this is a bit hard asking you because it's the assessor's comps. Jennifer, can you enlighten us here?
I believe it's on the other side of the underpass when you're heading towards Pula Park. So it's closer to Arlington, but more like Wolseley area.
Okay, so Wall Street or Valor Road, something like that. Okay.
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, Mr. Rack. So this first one on Portage Avenue, it appears to have, I guess it's got no parking out front. Does it have any parking in the rear? Do you know?
It probably has. I'm just usually when they build those properties, they always leave a little space for cars to park for the people who actually occupy the space. I'm just assuming, but I don't know for sure. But that's usually the case.
Okay. Would you consider it to be an inferior location to the subject?
Could be slightly because it's location, but I haven't gone through all the rents in
Okay.
C. But it was one of the assessors comparables, so that's why I've.
Yeah, I know this is a bit tricky.
May I interrupt for a moment?
I'll just make a statement here. You seem to be the reason I asked it was because you seem to hang your hat on the rate at $10 a square foot as opposed to what you're using in your workups. That's why I asked the question.
The property does not have any parking in the back.
Pardon me?
The property does not have any parking in the back. It's
Okay.
using the full property. It's it's a 1-to-1 land to building ratio.
Okay. Thank you for that, Ms. Martin. Yeah.
I'm not hanging my hat on that particular property. I mean, just bringing it up that there's the assessor. I mean, if the assessor put it in her brief, she must have thought that it's comparable to subject, because that's basically the whole idea of this exercise. So I just brought that up, and I have supplied 8 comparables on Portage that range in different, in different amounts. So.
The reason I'm asking is because it's your rebuttal, and you're suggesting that some are inferior and some are superior, I guess, maybe not relevant, not good comparisons. I guess that's why you're rebutting them. My last one is 1853A Portage Avenue. Now, where would this one be located? Would you know? We're about halfway down Portage subject, right? Ms. Martins, can you help us here?
Yes, just let me pull it up, please.
It's by Ferry Road.
Okay. All right. Those are all my questions regarding the rebuttal. Go ahead, Lyle.
The bottom line, Mr. Chairman, is whether or not the actual rents that the subject property is achieving could be considered market. So I'm just showing, basically you could be anywhere up and down Portage, and depending on your location and what you're renting, the rents do vary. But the subject property is getting $10.62 a square foot net. I think that's indicative of market with my comparables.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rack. Okay. Now, that concludes the rebuttal and all the questioning on the rebuttal. Ms. Martins, do you have a requirement for summary at all?
Just a quick one. I'd just like to say that I don't think the street name is necessarily the most important indicator of a good comparable, especially when you're on a place like Portage Avenue, which has many, many different neighborhoods throughout, all the way from, Unicity and, all the way down to the middle of downtown. So the street name isn't necessarily the best indicator of comparable. And when I looked at these, I looked at the parcel use code and the use that we have in for the business assessment, and I looked at the wall height and the age of the property, which in many circumstances I find has been a more easily justifiable indicator of the rent that can be received by said property. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Martins. Mr. Rack?
I'm okay, thank you.
Okay, I think you summarized previously, I believe. So, okay. Thank you. That concludes, excuse me. That concludes item number 1, file number 223743 3096 Portage Avenue. And we have heard all the items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you both for appearing. You'll hear from us as soon as possible.